Hello, I'm doing this video for some friends that requested for me to do a planter with a drain bowl at the bottom connected. So I'm going to show you how I do that in real time. Hope you can see that. Let me make sure it's right. Okay, so I've got here about 4 pounds of clay, maybe 5. I didn't weigh it, but I wedged it really good. Some recycled clay. It's called Little Loafers from High Water. So I'm going to go ahead and plop this baby on here and get it centered. And I'm doing this live so that you can see exactly how I do this. Let me see if I can zoom in for you. I tell you, this new iPhone, it's gonna, no, I cannot. Okay, sorry. All right. I flipped the camera so it's not gonna zoom in. I'm sure there's a way, but it's okay. So now I gotta get this piece of clay to stick to the board. So I'll just rub down some to get it to obey. And it wants to slide. And when you're trying to get it into the board, try not to push the sides. You can center later. Now I'm going to turn the wheel up high speed. I think it's stuck on there real good, so now I'm going to center. I kind of have a long centering process because I hate wobbly pieces. They're so aggravating to trim. So I have to get it centered in the core. You know it's centered when it stops wobbling. And I still see a wobble here. So I'll work with this, taking it up and down until it's not wobbly anymore. And also it compresses the clay to get out air bubbles that you don't want. When you're wedging recycled clay, you want to wedge it at least 50 times to get all the air bubbles out. Do a combination of the bullhead or the skull head and the spiral to get it wedged really good, about 25 each. Alright, it's starting to feel good. But this piece has to be nice and centered because I'm making an attached piece. So I'm just taking it up. It feels nice and centered, but and when I take my piece all the way down to get ready to flatten it, I do it gradually, keeping the sides stable. So I'll go down a little because I don't want to get that mushroom tip. Everyone does it a different way. I just like my clay to be nice and compacted because this is a porcelain type clay and it's very slippy, creates a lot of mud. I never have to make slip for handles. Would not use this clay because it makes its own as you throw. And you'll notice I'll do breathing techniques because with pottery you can't center unless you're centered. So you'll notice sometimes I'll go completely silent as I get focused, or I may even forget what I was talking about. And that's okay. So I'm preserving the outside as I take it down to try to avoid the mushroom tip. And then when I press in at a slant here, and then I go over the top. And you want to stabilize with a little pressure, but not so much that you're shoving it and making it come off center. Again, I'm gradually taking it down. And I keep this sponge in my hand to keep the piece nice and wet. So now I have a dome, and soon I'll have my little hockey puck. On this piece I need a little bit wider than this, so I'm going to really press down here. I think that's okay width. So now I'll go straight across to flatten it, like that. I'm going to pull up my walls here. This is where it tends to want to shift a little or off center, but you can re-center when you open. As long as you're centered before you start pressing down, you can re-stabilize it if it comes off centered a little bit. But the key is to get it centered before you flatten it. So now I'm going to flatten it really good here. It feels nice. I don't feel any air bubbles so far. I want to make sure all this is even. Okay. So when I want to make the water pan, that's what I'm going to call it, that is attached to my piece, I have to separate the bowl portion from the planter portion. So I'm going to show you how I do that. Slow the wheel down some, get all the excess slip off there so it doesn't confuse me later. So I'm going to just lay my finger, press my finger here on this outer edge. I hear air bubbles. Uh-oh. And just press gently. There's no need to be aggressive. I don't want this guy flattened out too much, so I'm going to curve it up some for right now. And I'm going to press a little bit more. And I think that's good. It has to stay really stable. I'm going to bring it up a little bit. Close it in without bending it so much. Alright. So there we have the bowl portion, and later I'll pierce it to make a drain hole so that, especially with planting herbs, you need the piece to be able to drain. Alright. I'm going to speed this up just a tad. I'm going to open up here. This is a piece that requires a lot of patience because what you're doing here can off-center it. So you may see it start to wobble just a tad. If it does, just hold still. Let it center. I'm going to compress this lip back down because I don't want it that high right now. Okay. Keep it wet. Now, gotta be careful letting the bowl touch the planter. So I'm gonna go here, turn the wheel down a little bit. Looks like 3 bowls, but I promise you it's not. And I'm gonna flare this open. It's nice and firm, but I'm gonna have to slow the wheel down so that the force of the wheel won't blow my bowl away. Alright, so it looks like 3 bowls, but it's not. I'm gonna press this into the bowl piece here. Make sure we get any air out of there. And now I'm going to start pulling it up. Some people make these and they attach the bowl later, but I just like to get it all done in one setting. So I'm going to compress this bottom. Make sure it's nice and flat, that the clay is compacted so we don't get S-cracks. Those are a booger to repair. Make sure it's not too wet here because I'll have to moisten it. But every time you go to pull, you want to make sure you get the water out, and you don't want to leave it standing for too long in the bottom. I want a nice flat bottom here on this piece. So I'm using a sponge. I'm moving in a circular pattern or motion to compress the bottom. And it feels nice and tight, so I can finish pulling now. Pulling means to make it grow. You literally pull it up. Some people pull with their fingers. Sometimes I'll pull with my knuckle, my fingers. But I love to use a sponge because it covers a large area, and you don't use, I don't tend to use as much pressure. And it doesn't leave the fingerprints. And some people like the fingerprints. I don't. Not on my work. It's good for some pieces if that's what you desire, though. You gotta stay lubricated because you can literally destroy your piece with friction. My breathing is very deliberate. I try not to panic when I feel an air bubble, but I just felt one. Woo! Just playing. I did feel one though. Alright, there we go. This is a little cutie pie. I want to go with a basic cylinder, but boy, I cannot resist the urge to shape. And you see this guy's getting a little wobbly. When you start to get wobbly, slow your wheel down and fix it. Try not to continue until you've straightened that up. And sometimes it's just the uneven lip that you can go back and fix. This clay is very tricky. It takes in a lot of water. Let's get this fold out of here gently. Now with planners, I try to have kind of a fat lip. This is a lip because you want it to be durable, and most planners are usually outside and handle kind of rough. So a thicker lip really helps it to stay, be less likely to chip. Now I'm going to go and use my metal tool, rib tool, to get some of the moisture out. This is one of my favorite tools, but I tell you, if you're not careful, you'll cut that whole bowl off. And so I like using this tool because it smooths and it gets excess moisture out, and it helps you to be able to tell what the thickness of the walls are. And with these types of pieces, I like to flare the lip out a little bit with planters. Now I may use my wooden rule, wood tool to flare this baby out just a tad. You can see it gets a little wobbly here. Just stabilize and compress. This tool is too tall. I need a shorter one. Let's see. I only have 5 million. Here we go. This guy may be better. So I'm just going to stabilize here I want these walls to be a little bit straighter. There we go. That's a cutie pie. I like that. I'm always amazed at all the noises I make when I'm on the wheel. So strange. I guess you get entranced and you forget you're making sounds. Like, I guess it's like basketball players that stick their tongues out. I even know that sometimes I'll stick my tongue out. Very strange. All right. So this is a basic piece. I can shape it and make it more rounded. But it's a planter and I want to have space to put art on here. Because you know I love painting. And they have new underglazes now that are very painterly. I'm going here and just push it out just a tad. I'm whispering. I want to make sure that it's nice and rounded at the base here. Very good. I feel good about that. I don't know why I'm whispering. All right. This looks very basic. When you make a basic piece, you can go a little bit more elaborate with the art. But if the art is in the shape of the piece, then the most you can do is glaze. Which glazes are beautiful, but there's a little tidbit for you. All right, I'm going to stabilize this just a little bit more. I'm seeing some lines in here. And I don't know if you've noticed, but this tool just touched the lip of the bowl. Not good. All right, I kind of like this shape a little better. All right. Hello, flower pot. I had 2 requests for planters commissioned, so I'm gonna get that done. That's a cutie pie, I think. Now, I'm gonna raise this lip a little bit so that it can store a little bit of water for the beautiful plants that will live here. And I'll flare it out just a tad there for aesthetics. And there we go. Now, look at that. Isn't that a cutie pie? I don't know if you noticed, but I get a piece of cow skin or chamois. And it looks like this. And what I do with it is I use it to compress my lip so it's nice and rounded. And I'll compress the lip on the little drain bowl or water bowl. You guys gotta give me a name for that. I don't know what it is. Okay. Look at that little cutie. So I'm gonna try to get the excess water from down here. There I go, making noises. Okay, now I'm going to get the wire tool and cut it. That is a cutie pie. The name on this back is Helga. Helga is a friend of mine that was into hand building pottery, and she recently decided, decided she didn't like to use the pottery wheel. She just liked the hand build, so she sold me her brand new pottery wheel for a really good price. So now I have two, one for brown clay and one for white clay, and they're Brent's my favorite. There's nothing like a Brent. They're so heavy and solid. My favorite wheels, but got a good deal on it. I'm very thankful for Helga. And she also gave me other tools to go in my pottery studio. So I love her to bits. She's very, very feisty. And, okay. So it's been cut, and the reason I sever it is so I can remove it later. I severed it from the bats, and this is called a pottery bat. And there is the planter. Isn't that a cutie pie? And later I'll take a piercer and I'll put drain holes in there so that the water can drain down in there and you won't get a fungus on your plants. Okay? Toodles. Look at that. Look at that. Look, look, look. Look at it. Look. Ooh, wee. Okay. See, iPhones need to come with a remote in plastic so I won't have to mess up my phone.